It says they ran through the whole city, began to carry out on beds those who were sick to wherever they heard he was. And whenever he entered into the, so they hear that he's in Capernaum, and they just start laying people out in the streets. He's going to be in Capernaum? Okay. Get everybody out the hospitals, get everybody out the convalescents, go to everybody's home who's sick, pick up everybody and just lay them in the street. Why do we want to lay them in the street? It says, whenever he entered into the villages or the country, they laid the sick in the marketplaces, the central area, and they begged him that they might just touch the hem of his garment. The premise here is we don't have to throng him. We don't have to have a word go forth. All we need is for him to pass by. And if we lay them in the middle of the street when he passes by, if we could just reach out far enough and touch the tassel on the hem of his garment, then I have enough faith to believe that I'll be made well. What is this tassel thing? The priests of old would wear the tallit. And they would wear this undergarment that had these frayed ends on the end, and they had specific dimensions to them, and they were blue, and people believed that when you entered into the presence of God, you had to have this tallit on. As times rolled on, that has translated into the prayer shawls that many of you see that has the tassels on the end. It's representative of entering into the tent and into the presence of God. Are you with me? So Jesus in those days, he wore the tallit on. He had it on his undergarment, and it would hang down at the ankles or so. And the premise here is if I could just touch the hem. Why now? Because before he's spoken a word, before he said your sins are forgiven, other times they've heard, because clearly word is running all around town about the things that he's done. But what they last heard was there was a woman who didn't have to be touched. She didn't have to have a word. All she did was touch the hem of his garment. Some kind of way has been translated now that he don't even have to see you. He don't have to look at you. He don't have to say nothing to you. All you got to do is have enough to touch the hem of his garment. And if you can get to the hem of his garment, there's enough in him that flows down to the hem, and you can still get healed. So my question for us today is simply this: how many of you got enough in you to touch it? How many of you got enough faith in you, got enough willingness to get rid of sin, foolishness in your life, to be willing to lay in the streets if necessary? I didn't say get in the streets. To touch him. Now, is it the him that has the power, or is it him? H-I-M. I submit to you today that if you touch it being the power of his presence, because that's really what we're referencing here, that the freedom and the deliverance and the wholeness and the redemption that you're looking for can be found if you dare to touch it. So the title of today's sermon is I Dare You to Touch It. I dare you to have enough in you, enough desperation to get over your cuteness, to get over what your neighbor thinks about it, to get over the lies that the enemy has spoken to you about it, and I dare you to touch it. I dare you to have enough in you to be willing to press until you feel virtue flowing in your body the same way the woman who was touched with the issue of blood felt the virtue in her body. I dare you to expect that he cares enough about you to be willing to look past your stupidity and your foolishness and your arrogance and see the humility of your reach if you just reach. And allow him and his presence to overwhelm your circumstances. I dare you to touch him. I dare you to figure out that the whole reason he came was so that his presence could make you whole, so that you could be a witness to the people in your sphere of influence. That the reason he wants you whole is just not so that you can go on and do more exploits for yourself, but that somebody could see him in you so that you can decrease and he can increase and power can flow through your life. The word well is the word sozo. It means to be whole and to be safe and to be protected and to be saved from suffering and as one from perishing, to make well, to restore to health, to be whole and complete. That's a lot that he came for. And he says, will you dare touch me in a way that releases the virtue out of me? Will you put yourself in an atmosphere? Will you just get in the atmosphere? Will you quit letting the devil chase you from the place that holds your healing?